WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. And today I have something you probably never ever have seen. 2 Stacks Irish Whiskey, the first cut complex blend. Well, if you watch the Belfast Whiskey Week, you've probably seen the guys already. This is a unique blend of grain, malt, and pot still whiskey at 43%. ABV, and over here in Germany I paid €35.90 for this. Probably be a little bit more expensive someplace else in the world. 200 bottles were actually made of this. Very limited supply. Whiskey base number 163380. So what we have is a total of 5 different whiskeys in here. So we have 40% grain in virgin oak. So Irish grain, single grain in virgin oak. We have another 40% of single grain in Ex-Bourbon. It doesn't say the word single grain, it just says grain. So I do know that it's from one distillery. So we have 80% grain whiskey in here. 40% of it is in, half of that, 80% is in virgin oak, half of it is in Ex-Bourbon. Of the 20% single malt, we have actually 8%, which is single pot still, which means unmalted and malted barley. So that was actually aged in Ex-Oloroso casks. Then we have double distilled, not triple distilled, double distilled single malt in Ex-Bourbon casks, 10%. And then we have peated, I'm going to say it a third time, single malt with 2%. Non-chilled filtered, no color added. Very interesting. Basically, the story behind 2 Stacks is the guys from Irish Craft Beer Limited actually had imported a lot of whiskey all over the world and distributed it. A lot of Irish creams and Irish liqueurs and some Irish whiskeys. And they're like, well, why not make our own? And so they actually got together with someone who I know fairly well, the Brandon here from the Kilhoan distilleries down in County Down, Northern Ireland. So he might just zoom in on that. Very, very good. Thank you very much. And it says here that it is a bottled and blended by. So that's very, very good. That's the Kilhoan guys. That looks like this. Or if you want to look at the bottles, they look like this. So, all right. And then the most important fact is at the bottom. I love the transparency. It says distilled and matured, the Great Northern Distillery. Yay. So John Teeling, actually at the same time, Mark Renee was kicked out of Bruichladdich. Basically, John Teeling sold Cooley. And at the same time, they both basically bought a old Guinness plant. Mark Renee down in Waterford, that is now Waterford Whiskey. So they're now producing actually their own single malts. Very, very nice. And Jack Teeling produced his own single grain, which was very important to him, single malt and single pot still. So all 3 types. And by the way, the single malt can be doubled or triple distilled. Yay. So they can actually produce 5. So we have the single grain, we have the double or triple distilled single malt, and the double or triple distilled single pot still if you really want to. Yay. And so all those different types of whiskeys are in here for the first time. I've had some limited editions where a little bit have been in there, or some single bottlings from Mareike here from www.irish-whiskies, EYS.de, DE for Deutschland, for Germany, and she's actually bottled some single casks, but this is the first time I've ever had a blend of only Great Northern whiskey, which is fabulous. I love this. This is great. Good job, guys. So, on the nose, after you let it sit for a little while, I need to pull out a competitor. Bonding, they're bonders. The mother of bonding in Ireland is Louise here by J.J. Corey. So she started this. She actually fought the legislation and fought for the right to be a bonder. Question of the day, in your opinion, what is the difference between a bonder and an independent bottler? Because a bonder basically just goes to a distillery with their own cask and say, fill it up, and we'll actually then mature it in our own warehouses and then bottle it and sell it. Sounds like an independent distillery to me. Gordon MacPhail have been doing it for 60, 70, maybe even more years. What's the difference? Question of the day, what's the difference between a bonder and an independent bottler? All right, very, very good. So this is fabulous. This is one of the best. Batch number two is better than batch number one, in my opinion. This is really, really good stuff. Over here, you actually do, if you let it sit long enough, you get a little tiny whiff of that peat. It's very, very subtle, but it's there. I actually describe this almost as a tomato sauce. Why? Tomato sauce for me is a mixture, is a potpourri of all these different ingredients, all these different seasonings, all these different things that come together. And at the end, you can't really discern what was in there. You just have that one big, beautiful bursting of taste and flavor. And basically, that's what I'm getting here as well. I can't pull out the grain. I can't pull. I can't pull out the single malt or the single pot still. All right, 43%. Cheers. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh, what a shame. All right. Comes in at the very beginning. It's a little bit weak, but then it opens up with some floral moments, some nice fruity moments, really malty, and then a little bit of a young spirit, ethanol, a tiny little bit of wood kicks in, and what really, really discourages me from giving us a very high note is the metallic moment towards the end. I really get the youthfulness, the metallic moment of that grain in there. This is a 3 to 4 year old whiskey. The reason why they can put the percentages on the back, if you look at the label, I really like this. They have at the middle here, they have their 8% pot still, they have their 80% of grain, and they have over here then their 12% of their single malt. Very, very well done. The reason why they can do this at this like a pie chart is they have no age statements on here. The secret for age statements in Ireland, of course, is vintages. Everything has to be from 1 year, and then you can put it on there. You can put down the ages because only the youngest whiskey needs or is allowed to be displayed on the label. But everything is from 2014 or 2016 or 2012. Who cares? It's still the youngest whiskeys on there. All right, so what I did not do in my German video is I did not play with water. Put a few drops in here, see if something transforms. Oh, by the way, the next video will also be released at the same time, is the cast strength version. Exactly the same 5 whiskeys. This is called the Blender's Cut, and this is 64%. Apparently, it's the strongest Irish whiskey ever been produced, ever put in the market. 64%. I'm looking forward to that. All right. So, and now I'm watering down my whiskey. Isn't that irony or ironic? I get a little bit more of a floral moment. I do get a little bit of that pot still. I think I get a pot still. I think I get a little bit of a fruity Oloroso moment here. But I get a lot of that grain, I must admit. Cheers. Mm-hmm. Water actually helped this a little bit. Not much. It's actually transposed everything a little bit, just like it went by 20 seconds later. I still get the metallic. I get a little bit stronger now, actually, towards the end. But it took a little while before I was like, oh, look, and then, Okay, what I did is I actually put about 20, I diluted this down to about 25%. Why? Because I love to experience whiskey at a very, very low ABV to just see if I can find any nuances in there that I couldn't find otherwise. Alcohol is, of course, something that transports flavors, but it also numbs my tongue, and therefore I need to ooh, pineapple. This is fascinating. Oh, I get to smoke as well. This is really interesting. I did not do it in my German video. Usually I only do it in my German video, and I only do it in the English video if there's something special. I get a little bit of like barrel char in there. A little bit like a burnt house moment. Interesting. Mm-mm. I basically killed this whiskey with the water. Some whiskeys that are older, you can do this and they're still almost like the same. Others are diluted down and you get a little bit of a transition in one direction. At the beginning, nothing. And towards the end, you get a little bit of a creamy maltiness. The metallic is gone, but it's a creamy maltiness. It's there, but there's not much instance. There's not much substance here. The grain is absolutely totally gone, and only the malt is left with a little bit of a residue moment. All right. I love what they're doing. I love the bonding criteria, and I love what's happening in Irish whiskey at the moment. But that metallic note at the end really turns me off. So this is going to be a C minus. Value for money, 35 euros 90. It's going to be a C minus. I did not compare this to a Jameson, but I do assume, I'm pretty sure a normal Jameson would taste better. I've never had a metallic note on a Jameson. I've had alcohol. I've had a little bit of a sharpness, but never a metallic moment, which I'm getting here. And so, all right, good. Thank you very much. I can't wait to try it versus the cask strength. This is going to be fantastic. Whiskey Jason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American and Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Question of the day: what is the difference between a bonder and an independent bottler? I'd really like to know. Did Two Stack just basically jump on the Bonder bandwagon instead of calling itself an independent bottler? Ooh, conspiracy theory. Thank you very much. Like, share on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on whatever you want to do. And then also please like, subscribe, and tell others. Bye bye.